Thanks for joining us to discuss Tempus now, earnings and the tech sector. I'm joined by George Congdon, who is the Associate VP Medical Technology, Third Bridge. It's such a fascinating industry right now when you sort of merge healthcare and everything that's been happening in AI, which of course is what this business is in the game of. What's your reaction to what we heard from Tempus from this report card?
Yeah, it's great to be with you. So Tempus reported another strong earnings in its growth story. The company raised revenue guidance for 2025 to around 1.26 billion, and it's really establishing a proof of concept for large-scale partnerships with big pharma and the ability not only to use its AI capabilities to compile, but also to analyze, organize, and collocate data to provide actionable insights for customers that will lead to a real-world outcome improvements for a lot of patients.
Yeah, I suppose this is exactly what everybody's been looking at. You know, what are the use cases of all of this artificial intelligence, and particularly for such a critical area like, as you say, healthcare and pharmaceuticals? I'm just wondering, what exactly was the driver of this strong performance? And I mean, you know, as you say, they've raised their revenue guidance, but how sustainable is this?
Yeah, good question. So our research points to strong momentum, particularly in genomic segment with genomic tests, pointing to use cases. We're going to look at core KPIs like clinical trial enrollment. This can unlock significant value to pharma clients as a catalyst for speed to market for a drug, which it can actually be worth billions of dollars if you can get a drug to market with breakneck speed. Just to give you a quick example, if you take a test that predicts a patient's likelihood to respond favorably to a drug like Keytruda or any immunotherapy, there's kind of a direct monetization model there to pharma. So this is why we're seeing customers really like the offering and seeing partnerships like the recently announced one with AstraZeneca last quarter.
Right, and so talk us through, you know, what you're seeing as far as the competition in this space. I mean, it seems that, you know, this company is well positioned, as you pointed out, with some of the partnerships. But I mean, how are you looking at, you know, how other companies are, you know, working in the space of where technology meets healthcare?
Yeah, so it is somewhat of a nuanced landscape. You're going to have your large life sciences software vendors like Aviva Systems, which is doing both CRM software and drug development and commercialization solutions, as well as your point solutions like in Evidation Health. So the way Tempus is trying to differentiate itself is really in both the quality and kind of idiosyncratic use cases of the data, but also its proprietary AI capabilities in order to, like I said, analyze that data and make it usable for pharma for these specific all-important use cases like clinical trial enrollment, assembling a diverse group of patients, and figuring out how a patient can respond to a drug, because that's ultimately what's going to drive reimbursement and give you the necessary capital to fund more real-world studies to catalyze profitability for a company like Tempus.
Because we've been hearing from a number of these healthcare companies, obviously the developments and some of the headlines around the healthcare space, pharmaceuticals, haven't exactly been favorable. You know, while we have seen certainly positive developments in this space, you know, some of these companies have been talking about, you know, the high medical costs. I mean, I'm just wondering for a company like Tempus, if any of that sort of factors in, you know, to how much demand there is for a service like this, particularly when you're dealing with sort of the macroeconomic picture too.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd answer it twofold. I mean, we saw a crimp in pharma advertising spend budgets last year and a couple of years before, kind of coming out of COVID. However, those seem to have stabilized. The other risk was the bill coming through Congress from Bernie Sanders, and also got support from RFK, so a bit of bipartisan support there to limit pharma TV spend advertising. While that could present a material regulatory risk, the real question comes down to whether or not we can provide therapeutics, drugs, and tests that provide real value to patients. Because as we move towards a value-based care system, efficacy is going to be paramount to patient outcomes, and ultimately the monetization and financial incentives should align.
Yeah, everyone's looking for that efficacy, efficiency, and monetization. Just lastly, have you got any sort of other what could be seen as overlooked AI names that are sort of on your radar as we, you know, peel back the onion on all these earnings report, and AI really has been the big story?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if you want to look adjacent to Tempus in companies that are providing kind of differentiated services and value, a name like Doximity, which is sort of like a LinkedIn for clinicians, so to speak, where they can interact and with each other, and then the monetization model is selling advertising to large pharma. So if their proprietary AI capabilities can deliver meaningful ROI on pharmaceutical ad placements, that's going to be a name to watch, as they already have 80% of the domestic clinicians in the U.S., as well as, I believe, close to 90% of medical students, which positions them really well in a market that's known for a little bit of inertia and changing services.
Okay. Great stuff. I really appreciate the chat this morning. It's been wonderful. George Congdon, Associate VP, Medical Technology, Third Bridge. Really appreciate your time.